All right, time to do what we do on this Wednesday night edition. A quick slant. It is presented by Nissan. I'm Derek Gunn.
And I'm Barrett Brooks. And Eagles brass spoke today in Indianapolis at the Combine. And right out the gates, they made headlines.
And we began with Howie Roseman, who took to the podium today in Indianapolis. And, yep, right out of those gates, he addressed the future of the one and only Nick Foles.
We've spent a lot of time discussing this internally and with him, and we've decided to let Nick become a free agent.
What went into that decision?
A lot. You know, it's hard when you have someone who's incredibly valuable to your organization at the most important position in sports. And at the same time, we've had incredible success with him when he's had to play. 4 playoff wins over the last 2 years. Great teammate, a huge resource for Carson and Nate Sudfeld as well. But at the same time, he deserves an opportunity to lead a team. It's a goal of his to lead another team and lead another locker room. And we feel at this point that it's the right decision.
All right, so the Eagles basically show goodwill towards Foles, allowing him to become a free agent rather than trying to tag him and trying to trade him as well. Barrett, how do you feel about the way the Birds have handled this? Clearly, Foles has earned this.
Respect. That's all it is respect. Also, it has a lot to do with I told you so also.
What I told you so?
Man, they were not going to franchise tag Nick Foles.
You weren't the only one who said that.
I'm just saying I was probably the first one to say it.
Oh, we're going to sit here and toot our own horn now? Is that it?
Two. In fact, my arm is broke from patting myself on the back from knowing that they were not going to risk the chance of having a $25 million quarterback, a backup quarterback, on their roster because of it. No, they won't have him, franchise tag him, especially when the rest of the league understands that he can't be on the roster. There's no way he can be on the roster. So they were just going to wait their time, buy their time, and wait till they cut him and got him off that franchise tag. But that's the thing right there. The franchise tag is guaranteed. So they couldn't risk it. There's no way on God's green earth that they could have a $25 million backup sitting on the bench. It would cause too much, you know, of a cap hit, number one. And plus, at this point, Nick wants to go out and field his own team. He wants his own locker room. He wants to go out there and be the leader on his team, a franchise quarterback. And he would not be that here. Carson is too good of a player. And at this point, they know their futures is with Carson Wentz. So this is going to leave Foles alone, let him ride off to the sunset and lead his own team.
Yeah, see, like Aretha Franklin says, nothing about that respect, bro. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? Kudos to Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson and everybody involved coming to this decision. Because let's face it, what happens if they try to tag him and then trade him? Now, let's say you trade Nick Foles to a team that he didn't want to go to. He has to go in and try to compete for that starting job and did not win the job. Well,
right.
Now, Nick is miserable sitting on a bench somewhere. But because of what he did for the organization, what he has meant to this organization in the community, what he has been is basically a stand-up guy the entire time. He has been here patiently waiting his turn, which has come unexpectedly twice in a span of 2 seasons, and being a good soldier about it and not complaining and dividing a locker room. Howie Roseman and the organization said, you know what, Nick, thank you for everything. You are now free to do what you want to do. Now, when you look at the scenario in terms of what Nick Foles might do out there in the open market, where it seems like the window has kind of closed a bit because, the Oakland Raiders have said Derek Carr is a franchise quarterback. So not going to Oakland. Denver Broncos have now traded for Joe Flacco, not going to Denver. So now you're talking about possibly the Redskins and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now even the Giants have come out and said something about their quarterback situation definitively that we'll talk about a little bit later in this show. So Nick Foles' opportunities now are closing. But the most important thing is there's still opportunities for Nick Foles out there.
No question. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But you know what? That's not the only thing that Howie talked about. He was, of course, asked about the report on Carson Wentz and how he deals with teammates. And neither Howie or Doug minced words when they came how they felt about Carson Wentz.
We know Carson, and we know what kind of teammate he is. We know what kind of leader he is. You know, it's ironic because as we've gone through free agency since we've had Carson, there have been so many guys who've wanted to come to Philly to play with him. So, you know, none of that is any issues to us. We're incredibly excited about having him as our quarterback and excited about this season.
I love everything about Carson Wentz and the way he attacks his job every single day, the way he competes, the way he embraces the locker room, and so I don't put a lot of weight in that, a lot of stock in that. I mean, it's his performance on the football field, obviously, and he understands where he's at. He understands he's got to stay on the field. Obviously, he knows that, but at the same time, guys really rally around him. They support him, and listen, he's one piece. He's not the entire football team, and we do this thing as a team, and he's a part of that.
So, Gunner, people can write what they want, but there's no doubt where the Eagles stand on Carson Wentz and what type of player and teammate he is. Or is there?
Well, you know what? What they just said about Carson Wentz, the football player, the athlete with his athleticism, not surprised one iota about that because Carson Wentz is all of those things. But as I move forward as an organization, I do kind of have to keep one eye on Carson Wentz engaging with his teammates. Now, how much of that article was true that was written about Carson Wentz in a negative light? We really don't know. And we really don't know exactly what kind of teammate he is, because only Doug Peterson sees that, Howie Roseman sees that, and the guys in the locker room see that every day. But I will say this, you don't have to be everybody's friend to be a leader,
right?
I.e. Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers. We've heard and seen things written and said about them negatively, but I promise you one thing, when they strap it on and they step on the football field, you got a whole bunch of guys in the locker room that'll jump off a cliff with them if they jump off a cliff, because they're all about winning, and their track record has proven that they are winners, okay?
Respect.
So Carson Wentz, it's almost at that level. But yep. Doug did say something that's very important. Carson has to stay on the football field to finish what he starts. Last 2 seasons, unfortunately, hasn't been able to do that. So it's all about the health with Carson Wentz. But I still want to see, is everybody going to be on board with Carson, and will they follow him no matter what the situation may be, whether they get the football coming in their way or not?
Well, you know what? I've played with a lot of A-type quarterbacks. I played with a lot of quarterbacks, period. I played with 5 different teams, and each quarterback brought different characteristics, a different attitude towards the game. I've only played with really one nice quarterback that I could say is like one of the nicest guys in the world, and that was Brett Favre. Everybody else had that certain edge to him that either you loved him or you hated him. I mean, that for Ben Roethlisberger, I played with him. Even Randall Cunningham, playing with him. He had an edge with him also. And it's that A-type guy that you have to look at that leads a team, in which that's why he's a quarterback. That's why he's a leader of a team, because he knows how to go out there and push buttons where he need to push, and understanding that this guy can take him to the next level. I really think Carson understands what they wrote about him. He took a little bit of what they wrote with him and said, all right, then maybe I need to change myself, and use it as a tool to make him a better guy, make him a better leader in that locker room. He will not be able to please everybody, but he has to make sure that he goes out and be the leader that these guys need going into the game. And I truly believe that's what it's going to make him a better guy, reading that article and understanding that he has to run this locker room as almost like a business, almost like an organization in which he's the head honcho. He's the president. He's got to make sure these guys will follow him into anything. And I really believe this locker room really does look at him as that aspect. So Carson Wentz, the franchise quarterback, and he will be such for the next 10 years. For the next 10 years, because he now understands what it is to be a guy that's going to lead a team out on that field, and they'll follow him to the bitter end because of that.
Well, you said the next 10 years, but to me, the next 10 years depends on his health status. We assume that he can be that quarterback for the next 10 years.
Yep.
And I've said it jokingly in the past, and I have to say it again. I hope it doesn't end up being the next Sam Bradford.
No,
you look at what happened to Sam Bradford now.
Don't say that, man.
Sam Bradford came out of the college as the #1 draft pick, can't miss quarterback in the National Football League.
You wish that on me,
all
Ricky
that
Bobby.
money, and what happened to Sam Bradford?
You're right, man. I mean, don't say that, man. Leave it alone, man. Leave it alone, man.
I'm trying.